The first sign of trouble wasn't a scream or a distress call. It was silence. On the third rotation after the storm season ended, Alpha Craft noticed the den was just too quiet. There were no scuffling claws, no tumbling bodies, no high-pitched growls as his cubs practiced being big and tough. Silence meant one thing: danger. Craft rose to his full, towering height, his mane bristling. Warriors in the camp froze. Mothers pulled their young close. Scouts snapped to attention. "The cubs," Crath rumbled. "They were gone." But there was no sign of a struggle, no blood, no scent of fear. It looked like the cubs had just walked out. That terrified him more than any enemy. Within moments, the entire pack mobilized. Trackers fanned out, noses to the ground. Following the faint but unmistakable scent of alpha blood mixed with juvenile musk, the trail led away from the mountain dens, past the sacred hunting grounds, and toward the one place no Crathy cub was ever allowed to go. The human settlement. A low growl rolled through the warriors. Humans were strange. They were soft, small, and had no claws or fangs to speak of. Yet, they stared down predators twice their size and didn't flinch. They fought without ritual, healed their enemies, and laughed in the face of impossible odds. The Crathy respected them, but no cub should ever wander among them. Crath followed the trail himself. As he crested the ridge overlooking the village, his warriors tensed. There, near the outer water basin, were 4 small shapes. Too small to be warriors, too large to be prey. His cubs, they were alive. They were unharmed. And Tay, wary, standing on their hind legs. Crath blinked in confusion. His smallest cub, Rika, puffed out her chest, raised her little arms, and let out a sound that made Crath's ears flatten in horror. Ruar. It was all wrong. Too high-pitched, too breathy, no power behind it at all. And yet, a group of human children in front of her erupted in cheers. Again, one of them shouted, "Teach us the big one!" Krat's cubs turned proudly. "No," said Vek, the eldest, shaking his head with authority. "You must start small. Roaring isn't about volume, it's about intent." The human kids nodded seriously. Vek demonstrated, lowering his stance like an alpha before a challenge. He inhaled and released a controlled Hubanile roar. The sound carried. Birds scattered. The human children gasped. That one felt scary. A child squealed. "Yes," Vek said solemnly. "Good." Fear means respect. Krath felt his world tilting. They weren't captured. They weren't threatened. They were teaching. A human woman sat nearby, watching calmly. "Again," she said to the children. "From the diaphragm?" Krath nearly choked. His cubs were patiently correcting the kids. No, Rika said, tapping a child's chest. "The roar comes from here. If you roar from the throat, you sound like a dying tunnel creature." The human kid tried again. Roar. It was terrible, but it was also magnificent. The cubs beamed. "You are improving," Vex said. "Soon, predators will hesitate." "Hesitate from what?" one child asked. Vec thought for a moment. "From believing you're weak." The words hit Krath like a physical blow. That was a sacred alpha lesson. He couldn't stay hidden any longer. Krath stepped forward. The ground trembled. The cubs froze. The human children went silent, all eyes on the massive, horned silhouette emerging into the open. "Father," Vex said softly. Krath's gaze locked onto them. "You left the den," he said. "Yes." "You entered human territory." "Yes." He took a slow breath. "Explain." Rika stepped forward bravely. They needed to learn how to roar. Krath looked at the children. They stood their ground. One even puffed out his chest. A strange feeling tightened in the alpha's chest. "Why?" Krath asked. "Would humans need to roar?" a human child answered. Because monsters are real, the child said simply, and sometimes grown-ups can't be there. The wind seemed to pause. Krath lowered his head until his eyes were leveled with the children. And you believe roaring will protect you? The child nodded. It makes me feel brave. Krath turned his gaze to his cubs. They felt brave, Vex said quietly, even before they learned. The Alpha closed his eyes. Humans didn't roar to frighten enemies. They roared to remind themselves they were not powerless. It was a very human idea, and a very Krathy one. Krath straightened up and unleashed a true Alpha's roar. The valley shook. The human children covered their ears but did not run. When the sound faded, Krath knelt. You taught them incorrectly, he said. The cubs flinched. Roaring is not about sounding fierce, Krath continued. It is about standing when you want to fall. He turned to the children. Again, he said softly, I will show you. He demonstrated a low, controlled roar, short, grounded, and steady. The children tried again. It was still terrible, but it was stronger. Krath nodded once. Acceptable. Cheers erupted. When the pack finally left, the cubs walked beside their Alpha, tails held high. Are we in trouble? Rika asked. Krath considered it. You broke rules, he said. Her ears drooped, and you upheld something greater. Her ears perked right back up. What? Krath looked back at the valley, where small humans were practicing roaring into the sunset. You taught them they were not prey. And behind them, a faint, defiant chorus echoed across the land. Ere o o o o a ere ere ere.